Well, I gotta say something about our quarterback right here is that he sure seems to have a lot of confidence in our players, but at the same time, it's not all black and white. He's got to do some work himself. What is going on, everybody? This is Still Sermon in the House. Wednesday afternoon with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram, link in the box below. So let's talk about Kenny Pickett and Diontae Johnson in this video a little bit. So this is like my first training camp video for the Steelers, as training camp is starting this week. And Kenny Pickett came on Cam Heyward's podcast, and he said that he is, quote, 100% sure that Diontae Johnson is going to have a breakout season and an improved season, something along those lines. Well, what do I have to say about this? I got mixed feelings about it. But let's talk about the good first. Usually I talk about the negative first, but I'm going to talk about the good this time first. First of all, I love Kenny Pickett's confidence. I think that he is showing that he is maturing and that he believes in his players. And, Kenny Pickett himself, he got off to a rocky start in his rookie season, which is normal. But, you look at the highlights, a lot of that, it doesn't, a lot of it has to do with bad luck and bad play calling. I know he threw 9 interceptions last season, but I hardly assign, at least half of them his fault. Sure, there were some that were on him. They were rookie mistakes, which you can boil it down to, but there were a lot that either shouldn't have happened or was just bad luck altogether. But Kenny Pickett, as far as practices have been going and as far as the teammates have been going, he's been, and as far as his rookie season last year went, you could see the developments. He was getting better with taking care of the ball. He only turned the ball over, I think, twice after throwing 3 interceptions against Miami in that Sunday night game. So he's been taking better care with the ball. He seems to be a little bit more calm under pressure, where he's not just chucking it up for a prayer and hoping for the best, kind of like he did when he first took the field against the Jets. And, he threw an interception, which, yeah, it was on him in his first pass against the Jets because he just kind of chucked it up in the air and tried to see what he had. But, I'm not going to bash him for that. It was rookie jitters. It was okay, let's just see what I have. And it was just a pick he threw into multiple coverage, okay? But I'm not going to kill him for that, okay? The point is, with Kenny Pickett, he has been improving, and you could see it, and it seems like his players and Tomlin himself actually have confidence going into 2023 as well as the fan base does. So that's the good right there. But now let's talk about why, yes, it's completely obvious that Diontae Johnson, who's getting paid #1 receiver money, needs to step it up. But at the same time, it's not all on Diontae Johnson. It's on Kenny Pickett as well. Okay? Because let me tell you something. A wide receiver is only as good as his quarterback is. And the other way around, too. A quarterback is only as good as his wide receiver is. So let's talk about this. I said already that I like Kenny Pickett's confidence, but Kenny Pickett at the same time needs to back it up. And was he a reason for why this offense was what it was last year? Like I said, I don't assign a lot of blame to him, but when you take a look at the red zone, he was only at 9.4% last year, which was last in the league. The next highest was at 16%. And Diontae Johnson was open in a lot of those scenarios as well. Now, I don't know how much of that has to do with Kenny Pickett missing him, and I don't know how much of that has to do with Diontae Johnson not getting open, because we know that Diontae Johnson's a good route runner, but it seems like the quarterback and the receiver need to be on the same page in order for that to work as well. So yeah, Diontae Johnson can have a breakout year and he can have an improvement year as well, but Kenny Pickett needs to work with that as well. But now let's talk about Diontae Johnson. We're talking about a guy who had 0 touchdowns last year, okay? Everyone watching this video, okay, had as many receiving touchdowns as Diontae Johnson did last year. And this guy's getting paid $18 million. Well, Diontae, that ain't what we're paying you for, man. We're not paying you to run backwards on routes when you're going up against defensive backs. We're not paying you that much to keep dropping passes. And we're especially not paying you that much to lose in contested catches as well. And his longest reception last year was for 37 yards. So we know Diontae Johnson has that good route running ability, and we know that he can get open, and we know that he's good in the red zone, but at the same time, it's up to him as well. Because going back to my last point, I don't know how much of it is on Kenny Pickett missing him in the red zone, or God forbid Mitch Trubisky missing him in the red zone, whoever the quarterback is. I don't know how much of it is missing him in the red zone, but don't think Diontae Johnson's off the hook either. Because we also don't know if Johnson can also get open in the red zone as well, which we know he can. All right? So I think it's just for everyone's best interest that if both players, okay, both players have breakout years this year. Kenny Pickett avoids the sophomore slump. He takes some shots down the field. We see the development with him. Matt Canada comes up with some good schemes for him, knock on wood. And at the same time, Diontae Johnson gets his act together because this guy has been the definition of inconsistent ever since pretty much Antonio Brown left. We saw him have a phenomenal rookie season in 2019. Then he took it up a little. Then, he kind of remained stagnant in 2020. 2021 was an awesome year for him, but last year was just pitiful for him. So yes, Kenny Pickett definitely needs to find him, and Kenny Pickett definitely needs to show that he is the franchise quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward. But Diontae Johnson, man, you gotta back up his claim, and Kenny Pickett needs to back up his claim as well with with avoiding that sophomore slump. And even if it was all on just Diontae Johnson, even if it was just him being the elephant in the room here, well, what about guys like George Pickens? George Pickens is hyped up to be our number 1 receiver because last year he ran the most go routes by far in the NFL, and you can chop that down to whatever you want to, but it just kind of seems like at this point George Pickens seems to be the better choice and the better option that Diontae Johnson is if you're talking about the number 1 on the Steelers. How about Allen Robinson, who we brought in from free agency? Well, not from free agency. We got him in for a draft. How about Allen Robinson we got in the offseason? This guy's coming in here because he's a veteran receiver. He's an established receiver in the league, and he is going to be, mentoring some of the younger guys that we have. And he's pretty much going to be what Diontae Johnson's hyped up to be. A number 2 or 3 on this team at best. How about Calvin Austin III? The kid was injured all year last year. He's itching to get back on the field. He says that he's healthy enough to play, a full season and show what he has in his arsenal. But at the same time, Calvin Austin needs to stay healthy as well. We know that he's ready to play. We know that he wants to play, and the fan base is dying to see him as well. What about him? How about Pat Freiermuth? Guy's been as consistent as they come since he came in the league a couple years ago, and he's proven to be the best security blanket on the team. And now you get Darnell Washington in the draft as well, who is a phenomenal blocking tight end, and I have literally no doubt in my mind Darnell Washington is going to be a big contributor as far as this offense goes. Are we just forgetting about all those guys as well? And even if you want to take it a little bit further, how about Najee Harris in the backfield? The guy had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in his first 2 seasons in the league behind one of the worst offensive lines in the league. And now the offensive line didn't get infinitely better, but it got way better than what it was for the past couple of seasons. You bring in possibly the best left tackle and the one of the best offensive linemen in the league, and Isaac Seumalo from Philly, a team that went to the Super Bowl. You trade up to get Broderick Jones, and you add more depth to your O-line. So all these has to do with the fact that Diontae Johnson can have a breakout season, because if he doesn't, then the Steelers are going to have to make a very tough decision as far as what we're going to do with Diontae Johnson. I mean, this guy's, like I said, he's getting paid number 1 receiver money, and he turns in a season like that. You want to chop it down to a fluke? Okay, fine, whatever. You want to chalk it down to, well, Kenny Pickett's a rookie quarterback. Okay, fine, whatever. The fact of the matter is, I look at the stat sheet. I see his highlights. I see a guy that's running backwards and, just to play it safe as far as going up against a defensive back goes, and a guy who's inconsistent with catching the ball. And his quarterback is developing and improving, sure, but it's still a young quarterback, and a quarterback that, let's face it, just doesn't have the same pedigree, at least not yet, that a guy like Patrick Mahomes, or even in this case Josh Allen or Joe Burrow or Aaron Rodgers has in this league. That's all I'm saying. So, in short, Kenny Pickett, it's great that you have confidence in your players and in your receivers, but it's not all on them, bro. You need to back up that claim as well. So both of you, Diontae and Kenny, get to work. It's training camp season. So get to work, guys. You got your work cut out for you. And that's all I got to say. These are just my opinions and my thoughts on Kenny Pickett's comment on Cam Heyward's podcast. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. This is Steel Sermon checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.